Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're back. Were you guys nervous that we weren't coming back?
Guess what?
We're back.
Yeah.
I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
And this is Death Do Us Part.
Welcome.
A paranormal experience.
For you, your family, your coworkers.
Whoever wants to listen to it.
Dead people. Living people.
People that the undead.
Short people.
Is that what they are in Glitch?
Undead?
Are they undead?
Yeah, they like undead themselves.
Guys, we've been watching the show Glitch on Netflix. It's an Australian show. It is amazing.
Better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but it's pretty much like I don't know, how do we explain it without giving away too much about what's going on?
They become undead.
They become undead by some sort of experiment.
And then there's
like
more
hunters.
people that become undead, but not from the experiment.
Yeah.
From God or something.
Something. But it is a great show. Like, we can't stop watching it.
3 seasons on Netflix for your enjoyment. Out already. So catch up. Get ready for the next season.
Shout out Glitch.
Shout out Glitch.
So how's everyone doing?
Pretty good. I had a great weekend.
Me too.
The past couple of weeks we've been really busy. We've been doing a lot of fun stuff.
We have been doing a lot of fun stuff when we've been doing a lot of like fall type things and going to Lynn Villa and doing their hay rides and bringing the kids out and doing some fall festivities.
Yes, we're ready to carve pumpkins next.
I know, that's the next thing, and bake some pumpkin seeds.
Go trick-or-treating.
But yeah, I've been super busy with work. I got a promotion at work. Yay, go me. But
Shout
it's
out
been
Samantha.
Yeah, it's been a little bit insane. So due to family, keep catching up with our family and being with them and our son, and the job, stuff that I'm going through at my job, we had to take a week off, but we are back.
And stronger and better than ever.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited because we're going to be doing Halloween. That's our episode this week. And we actually took a little trip over to, so usually I go to Spirit Halloween, and in the same area this year, in the same location, it's
Halloween City,
which I think it's like part of Party City. But we went there and there was like, it was all right. Like some of their props were all right.
No, they weren't.
I mean.
But it was pretty funny though, the names of them.
Yeah, because they had, there was like a wig that looked like you know how Sia wears her wig and she covers her face. It was like secret singer wig. And then like instead of Slender Man, it was Tall Slim Man. And then I saw a meme on Facebook, and I don't know if I always say this guy's name wrong. Well, his name's Guy, but Guy from the Food Network. You know what I'm talking about with the
Guy Ferrari,
yeah.
Ferrari.
I always want to say Ferrari or Ferretti or something. But anyway, there was a meme going around on Facebook, and it was like a costume of him, but it said Governor of Tasting. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But it was like a guy dressed in like a shirt. Like, you could make this costume if you wanted to. But it was so funny. They had some cool props. I mean, some of the stuff was pretty neat. Like, they had this giant, it had to be, what do you think, like 7 foot, 6 foot tall of it. And it was like an animatronic.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing they had.
That was probably the coolest thing they had.
Definitely.
So, that was a fun little trip. I always love, like, if you, cheap date, babe, bring me to a Halloween store. Can you knock it off? But next time we have to find a Spirit Halloween because I think they're so much cooler. All right, enough. Anyway, all right, guys, we're going to get to it. We're going to get started on the history of Halloween.
Haunted history.
So I just want to know, what is your idea of the origin of Halloween? Like, how do you think Halloween started?
I think it started in Mexico.
Really?
Because they celebrated their dead people.
The Day of the Dead.
Yeah, they thought they came back from the dead for one day.
They still do that, actually, over in Mexico.
I was under the impression that's where we stole Halloween from because as Americans, we like to steal from everywhere else.
Watch it. All right, so the origin of Halloween actually dated back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. The Celts who lived over 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland and the United Kingdom and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. That's interesting. This day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of the year that was often associated with death. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the world of the living and the dead became obsolete. So that it kind of reminds me of the Day of the Dead, like what you were talking about. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For people who were entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort and direction during the long, dark winter.
Winter is coming.
Ugh, I'm dreading it. I hate winter. But when the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening from the sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter.
Nice. So they lit a holy fire.
Yeah, and I think that some sacrifices are done. When I did some research, they sacrificed some animals during this, and also it was said, I don't know how true this is, but also sacrifice some people. But like I said, I don't know how true that is.
Oh.
So by 43 AD, the Roman Emperor had conquered the majority of the Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they ruled the Celtic lands, 2 festivals of Roman origin were combined with a traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain.
So the Romans stole it first.
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Then we stole it from the Romans?
I mean, we're getting there.
Okay.
The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Panoma, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Panoma is the apple, and the incorporation of this celebration into Samhain probably explains their tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween.
I never understood why people bob for apples.
I have no idea, but did you ever hear like the stories back in the day, like when people would give like apples out for, I don't know why I'm laughing about
trick
this.
Trick or treat.
No, but they would give apples out and they would put razor blades in them. Have you ever heard that before?
That's gross.
Google it. People are crazy. But yeah, so that's what it made me think of. And then I've seen that people like, you know how like they make the caramel apples? Well, people were giving them out for Halloween, but as like pranks, they were actually dipping onions in caramel and giving them out to people.
I'd be so upset.
I know. Can you imagine going in the bite into a caramel apple, like covered in like crushed up peanuts?
You're like, oh, this looks so good.
And it's a freaking onion.
You're like, fuck!
Oh my God. I can't with you. All right, so now on to All Saints Day. So on May 13th, oh my God, I was about to say
69, baby.
609 AD, Pope Boniface IV dedicated Pantheon in Rome in honor of all Christian martyrs. And the Catholic Feast of All Martyrs Day was established in the Western Church. Pope Gregory III later expanded the festival to include All Saints as well as All Martyrs and moved the observance from May 13th to November 1st. So by the 19th century, the influence of Christianity had spread into Celtic lands where it gradually blended with and supplemented older Celtic rites. In 1000 AD, the church made November 2nd All Souls Day, a day to honor the dead. It's widely believed that the church was attempting to replace the Celtics Festival of the Dead with a related church-sanctioned holiday.
The church is like, give us our money. It's our holiday now.
My God.
Pay us.
All Souls Day was celebrated similarly to the Samhain, with big bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes such as saints, angels, and devils. I'm really surprised that people would dress up as devils in this case. The All Saints Day celebration was also called All Hallows or All Hallowmas from Middle English. What the fuck is that? Okay, guys.
Sounds like there's a bird in our house.
It literally sounded like there was an owl in our house.
Like,
but it's our dog sleeping. Making noises in her sleep.
Very strange.
All right. So anyway, yeah, it was called All Hallows. And the night before it, the traditional night of Samhain in the Celtic religion began to be called All Hallows Eve and eventually Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween. 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 Ew, that was a disgusting laugh. Anyway, moving forward. Your favorite part, Halloween comes to America.
This is America, the place where we steal stuff.
Oh my God, you're horrible. All right, so the celebration of Halloween was extremely limited in the colonial New England area because of the rigid Protestant belief systems there. Halloween was much more common in the Maryland and the southern colonies.
They like to party in Maryland.
I guess so.
I don't think that's changed.
I wonder how it was in Philly, though.
Shout out Maryland. Or they like to say Merlin.
I say Maryland.
In Maryland, they say Merlin.
As the beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups and the American Indians meshed, a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge.
Wow.
The first celebration included play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead and tell each other fortunes, dance, and sing. That actually sounds really fun. Like, I would want to be there.
Why don't we do that anymore?
I mean, we could. When we get a house, we can have a huge Halloween party, and we can sit there and tell scary stories, and we can have psychics there, and we'll dance and sing. How's that
Perfect. Sounds great.
So colonial Halloween festivities also included the telling of ghost stories and mischief making of all kinds.
Ooh, that's my kind of thing.
I wonder when Mischief Night came about, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
We used to corn houses as children.
What's corn in houses?
Well, I lived around cornfields growing up, so we'd go take corn,
and you
shuck it, and then we just throw corn all over people's houses.
That's horrible.
It was really...
At least it's corn and it's easier to clean up than eggs. Cause people.
No, we would egg them too.
Oh, you're
and toilet paper.
bad.
We were very bad.
Oh my God.
Some houses got rocks through windows.
Well, what did you call it? TPing is doing the toilet paper thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We'd corn, TP, throw rocks through windows.
Well, one mischief night, my I'm sorry, Mom. But you know, like the markers that you can write on people's cars with, and they're like pink and blue. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess somebody got like a little too excited on mischief night, and they were walking up my street. We didn't see them till the next day, but there was like 5 cars on my street with big giant dicks.
Nice.
And my mom's car was one of them.
She probably drove to work with a dick on her car.
No, it was her minivan, and she called the cops.
Oh,
they couldn't do anything about it though. Sorry, Mom.
Sorry. Shout out, Tina.
All right. So anyway, we got it. Where was I?
You were telling. We were talking about Mischief Night.
So by the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country, which is surprising because how worldwide Halloween is now. With everyone decorating, like there's a million shows and a million movies about Halloween,
right?
And so it's shocking, but
I'm shocked right now.
Me too, because I love Halloween. Halloween's like a state of mind. It's a way of life.
Oh wow, that got deep.
So in the second half of the 19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants, and these new immigrants, especially the millions of Irish fleeing, the Irish potato famine. Famine helped to popularize the celebration of Halloween nationally. So thank you, Irish immigrants.
Don't thank them for fleeing their country.
Well, no, I'm thanking them because they came over and they made Halloween a bigger thing than it was.
You're right. Shout out Ireland.
All right. I definitely thought I just saw something from the corner of my eye. I swear on everything. So have you guys ever... I think we talked about this maybe on our first episode, but have you guys ever saw something from your corner of your eye and you looked and there was actually something there? And then you got this same exact feeling, saw the same thing, and you looked and there was nothing there.
The hair just stood up on the back of my neck because I feel like there's something staring at me right now.
Like something in the... Maybe it's just my Uncle John.
No, like this is a scary person staring at me. Nah. Like inches from my face.
Ew, stop it. You're scaring me.
They're like gray and like I don't want to look over.
Okay, first of all, our dog sounds like an owl. Now I'm seeing shit from the corner of my eye.
There's a creepy guy staring at me. I'm about to cry.
Stop it. All right. Do you want to hear about the history of trick-or-treating?
Anything that'll make them go away.
Well, I don't know. The more you acknowledge them, the more...
If I had a seat, I could pull up. Oh, they're gone. They're gone. I looked. They're gone.
All right. So, borrowing the European traditions, Americans began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money.
Just begging?
Pretty much a practice that eventually became today's trick-or-treat tradition. Young women believed that on Halloween they could divine the name or appearance of their future husband by doing tricks with yarn and apple parings or mirrors.
Interesting.
In the late 1800s, there was... What? In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft.
Boring.
Right? At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day.
AKA pay us.
Parties focused on games, food
Cha-ching,
of the
cha-ching,
season,
cha-ching,
and festive costumes.
cha-ching.
What were you, like, what's some costumes that you wore as a kid?
I was Power Rangers a few times.
Really?
SpongeBob.
I was Baby Bop from Barney.
I believe that.
I loved Barney.
Yeah, Ninja Turtle.
I was a witch.
I didn't really dress up too many years that I can think of.
Really?
Mostly just Power Rangers. Yeah.
I loved Halloween. I was a cheerleader one year.
Really?
Yeah. I was, most recently, I was a devil. That was fun. I was a nun a couple years ago.
Nice.
I was a ladybug. I love Halloween.
Oh, I was a Scream. I was Scream a few times.
The most cliche costume. Did you have the one with the pump?
Except I lived it, okay?
Did you have the one with the pump? The one that pumps the blood?
Yeah, I
onto your
had
face?
that one the one year. I had the glow-in-the-dark one year.
All right. So,
I think I was Scream like 3 years in a row, actually.
Oh, my God. Wait. My mom... We had a costume, and I'm pretty sure somebody... I feel like that costume was used
I had the whole robe and everything.
Oh, wow. You really got it.
I had the mask and, yeah.
All right, so parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween celebrations. Because of these efforts, Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century. That really is stupid. Like, the whole point of Halloween is to have all this frightening, scary stuff, and it's just so fun. Like, you can be whoever you want to be. You can dress up. You can be scary. You can be fun. So that is pretty corny. So Halloween parties, by the 1920s and the 1930s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered holiday with parades and town-wide Halloween parties as the featured entertainment. Despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague some celebrations and many communities during the time. So there's always going to be...
Because that's the fun part.
No, there's always going to be some asshole that ruins it for everyone else.
It's the only part that's fun. One time, it was like around Halloween, and I remember Abram like put together this big music concert, and it went really well. And he was out back, and like he was standing on the steps, and everyone's like in this big group surrounded him. They're all like, his head's like huge right now because it's going so well. And like I had an egg for
he was the shit. He
was the shit. He was doing really well.
Yeah.
And I just had an egg for some reason, and I was in the back of the crowd, and I chucked it and hit him right in the chest with the egg.
Oh my God.
I thought it was hilarious. Sorry, Abram.
Wait, I feel like when I met them that day, I heard that story.
Yeah, because
I've
it's a great
heard this story before. So
one time
you were trying to kill the kid's shine. He was having a good old time.
I don't know. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe it was just I thought it'd be hilarious to hit the guy center of attention with an egg because I was holding one. I don't know.
All right. Well, if I was there, I probably would have died
laughing. It was funny.
Did everyone laugh? Sorry, I feel like
laughed.
we're not making fun of you, Abram.
Abram, it's not because it could have been anyone standing up there that got hit with the egg. I hope you know that.
Well, you're a dick, so there you go.
But that's the fun part of Halloween is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Where was I?
We were talking about vandalism.
I know.
And you're like, oh, assholes. Really.
All right. So by the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. That is so corny. They can't even celebrate it like we do.
Now it's just weird if I get dressed up and go trick-or-treating.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do that. Due to the high numbers of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from town civic centers into classroom or homes where they could be more easily accommodated.
Interesting.
During 1920 and 1950, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theories, family could also prevent tricks being played on them by providing the neighborhood children with small treats. Oh, okay.
They were bribing the kids not to...
like, don't vandalize us. We'll give you candy.
I think, you know what? The houses we cornered were the ones that didn't have their lights on. We're like, fuck you, man, you know?
Oh, my God. You're terrible.
I was a kid.
They just pretended that they weren't home.
Yeah, well, they could pretend they weren't home the next day when they're sweeping up all the corn.
So, thus, a new American tradition was born. It has continued to grow. Today, Americans spend an estimate... You want to hear this?
Yeah.
So, they spend an estimated $6 billion... I'll say that again. $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday.
Cha-ching! Cha-ching!
So that's the second largest commercial holiday.
Wow.
What do you think the first one is?
Christmas.
I thought it was Valentine's Day.
Why?
I don't know until...
Everyone buys Valentine's Day candy after Valentine's Day. Like, everybody.
All right. So All Souls Day and Soul Cakes. The American Halloween tradition of trick-or-treating probably dates back to the early All Souls Day parades in England. During the festivities, poor citizens would beg for food, and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives.
All right, listen here, hobo. You could have this tasty cake if you pray for my dead relatives, all right? Deal? Deal?
Could you imagine?
No tasty cake for you unless you pray for my dead relatives. Deal?
Deal.
Are you hungry enough to pray?
Stop. I can't.
Sorry.
Can you imagine, though, something like that? Like, imagine, you're at 7-Eleven, and you know how sometimes people will come up to you.
Yo, you got a cigarette, man?
The gas station down the street from us.
You got some change for a chicken sandwich or something?
Yeah, like when they do stuff like that, and then you'll be like,
hey, white boy, you got some change for a chicken sandwich or something?
Yeah, you gotta be like, pray for my dead relatives, and they'll just look at you. They'll be like, never mind, I don't want it.
Next time I will say that, I'll be like, here, you can have this exchange that you pray
guys,
for my dead relatives.
It happens very, very often around here.
I'm literally saying that every single time.
And then I think they'll start leaving you alone because I think they're.
I'm like, you have to promise to pray for my dead relatives if I get you this.
I mean,
deal.
Deal.
All right.
The distribution of soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the ancient practice of leaving food and wine for roaming spirits. The practice, which was referred to as going a souling, was eventually taken up by children who would visit the houses in their neighborhoods and will be given ale, food, and money.
All the kids are like, I love Halloween because I get so drunk.
Ale? What do you mean?
Ale is beer.
Oh, really? I was thinking ginger ale. So that's a weird thing, but I did read that. So that's something that was done like all over, I think, because I have this book called, it's really funny, but it's called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Communicating with Spirits. And one of the things they said there that people, I mean, not that obviously I love the people that I lost and I care, but it was on a different level of people like trying to communicate with, like, they would have shrines and they would put their favorite food out on the shrines thinking that, like, with their picture, thinking that, the dead relative would come and eat the food that they left for them.
Roaming spirits probably loved me when I was a kid because we left like half-drank beers and pizza all over the place when we passed out.
Oh my God. But yeah, so in this case, they would leave the food on the front yard or on the front step. So the tradition of dressing in costume for Halloween has both European and Celtic roots. Hundreds of years ago, winter was an uncertain and frightening time. Food supplies often ran low, and for many people afraid of the dark, the short days of winter were full of constant worry.
That sounds like a lot like you.
Oh my God. Shut the hell up. Because I literally, before you said that, I literally was going to say, that reminds me of me. Oh, that's so funny.
Who's married to you?
I know. You know me all too well.
Mm-hmm.
So, on Halloween, when it was believed that ghosts came back to the earthly world, people thought that they would encounter ghosts if they left their homes. Wow. I think I'm a nervous Nelly. These people.
I think I'm a ghost. I'm starting to think maybe I'm a ghost.
Because you don't like to leave the house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or you're scared you're going to run into ghosts. So to avoid being recognized by these ghosts, people would wear masks when they left their homes after dark, so that the ghosts would mistake them for a fellow spirit. On Halloween, to keep ghosts away from their houses, people would place bowls of food outside their homes to appease the ghosts and prevent them from attempting to enter. They really took this like ghost haunting spirit kind of stuff like super serious back then.
Why do you think they stopped taking it so seriously?
I think it was just the change in generation, because like we said earlier in our season of our podcast, there's people that believe in the spirit world, and they believe in spirits being able to communicate with us, but they're so worried about being judged by other people, so they kind of just like brush it off. Like they're skeptics. Mm-hmm. In theory, skeptics, but they're not. They just, you know what I mean? Like, they're too worried about people thinking, like, they're weird or, like... Now, this has to do with Halloween matchmaking and lesser-known rituals. So, there's something about, the tradition, Halloween traditions and beliefs that today's trick-or-treaters may have forgotten all about. Many of the obsolete rituals focus on the future instead of the past, and the living instead of the dead. So, that's a different direction that we're going, and it sounds like... In particular, many had to do with helping young women identify their future husbands, reassuring them that they would someday, with luck, by next Halloween, be married.
With luck?
Yeah.
It worked for you.
I mean, I wasn't. What do you mean?
You identified me, you married me before Halloween.
Oh, so it was with luck that I got with you? It was with luck that you got with me.
Wait. So does it have to be with luck? It
says with luck by next Halloween. And I married you before Halloween, so booyah. In the 18th century in Ireland, one of the kind of matchmaking Halloweeny things, is that a cook might bury a ring in like a woman's mashed potatoes on Halloween night. And then that is something that would... For her, if she finds that ring, then it would be hoping to bring true love to the diner who found it. Okay, so in Scotland, fortune tellers recommended that an eligible young woman name a hazelnut for each of her suitors and then toss them nuts into the fireplace. The nut that burned into ashes rather than popping or exploding, the story went, represented the girl's future husband. In some versions of this legend, the opposite was true. The nut that burned away symbolized a love that would not last. Aww.
That's sad.
So it's kind of like, which one's which?
Do you bust a nut or burn a nut?
Stop. Don't say that. Another tale had it that if a young woman ate a sugary concoction made out of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before bed on Halloween night, that she would dream about her future husband. Young women toss apple peels over their shoulders, hoping that the peels would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials. They tried to learn about their futures by peering at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water, and stood in front of mirrors in darkened rooms holding candles and looking over over their shoulders for their husbands' faces.
That's fucking weird.
It sounds like Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary.
These women sounded like they needed all the help they could get to find a husband.
I feel like...
If I walked in a room and I seen a bitch doing that, I'd be like, I'm never marrying you. I'm leaving forever.
Well, good thing you didn't walk in on me.
You did that shit?
I'm just kidding.
You know what?
It's crazy because I feel like
I'm going to come home early one day, just like not tell you I'm on my way home. Just find you in here with some egg yolks and shit.
Well, I already married you, so I'm not going to be doing that. So it was so like where we're at now with Halloween, it's kind of basic compared to what it was. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about it? What do you think about all the history that we talked about?
It sounded a lot more fun. Like, it used to be a lot more fun. Now I just feel like you go in the store, they don't even try with the costumes anymore. The quality of the stuff is just shit, and then they want way too much money for it. If you're gonna make me pay that much money, give me like decent, high quality material. Put like hand stitched shit. Like, I don't want stuff that came from some factory warehouse. It's like the shittiest quality in the fucking world.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like
and then
$60.
Like everyone else at the party has the same fucking costume on, and it's made out of this material that gives me a rash. Like,
I always thought that it was more fun making your own costume, like going to the Goodwill and finding what you can and you know making your own costume. So, but yeah, I feel like it probably would have been funner and more like exciting and more interesting if we were around back then and seeing how they do like Halloween then. So yeah, because right now, like I said, it's pretty basic. It's just like Halloween's not what it used to be. Like, although there's all like the scary Halloween houses and the, you know, the hay rides and things like that.
Yeah, I enjoy that stuff.
But a lot of people, you know, like there's not, I remember last year there wasn't as many trick-or-treaters even as there usually is. Like in Aston, in my mom's neighborhood, like there wasn't. Like, people don't do it. A lot of people just have their lights off. Like, it's kind of like nobody's in the Halloween spirit. It sucks. Other rituals were more competitive. At some Halloween parties, the first guest to find a burr on a chestnut hunt will be the first to marry. At others, the first successful apple bobber would be the first down the aisle. Of course, whether we're asking for romantic advice or trying to avoid 7 years of bad luck, each one of these Halloween superstitions relies on the goodwill of the very same spirits whose presence the early Celts felt so keenly. So it's funny because it seems like Halloween goes a lot with like love and marriage in the history. So it kind of steered away from the spooky stuff to love and marriage.
Yeah, it was more like communicating with spirits and the other side and just magic, almost magical stuff.
Yeah, so I think, and now today it's just like, it's just a mixture
cha-ching,
of everything.
Cha-ching,
oh,
cha-ching.
Yeah, of course.
It's all about them dollars.
It really is. So there you go, guys. That's the haunted history of Halloween. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you all enjoyed part one, because there's another one coming of our Halloween special this week.
Booyah!
There was so much that we learned. I thought it was so neat. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too, just learning about the history of Halloween and where it came from. But we will be back next week with part 2. Part 2 is going to be awesome.
Woo!
So see us here next week, and I hope everyone has a great Wicked Wednesday. Good
night.
night.